the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Monday edition of the Auburn Blitz here. Glad that you joined us wherever it is that you're tuning us in, getting your morning started with us, or if you tune us in later, we're glad that you do that and make us part of your daily schedule. As always, we're glad to have Jason Caldwell with us starting this off on a Monday and a very long weekend for this guy. Jason, I appreciate you being on. Before you get started, tell everybody how they can catch up with you and what everything is going on with you guys over on 24/7.
Yeah, like I said, check us out at auburnundercover.com 24/7. Our YouTube page at Auburn Undercover as well, and yeah, tons of stuff going on. And this it's not slowing down. You switch from first round. You get obviously Sweet 16 coming up this weekend. Nathan, Phillip, Patrick will be there. I think I will be in Athens for baseball. We got spring football that ramps up this week. We have coaching interviews today, practice tomorrow. This is the busiest time of the year. People ask, going, man, fall. I'm like, fall is the easiest time of the year. This is the busiest time of the year. And this week will give people a taste of that because you have everything that you could possibly have going on at one time.
So much spare time, Jason. I don't know what you're going to do with all that spare time that you just went through. Faith and I talked about this yesterday. Obviously, Auburn advancing to the Sweet 16. Huge to get out of the first weekend. Just talk about that first, Jason. I know you were in Lexington all weekend, basically, or probably feels like a week, sandwiched into a few days. Baseball and basketball, but not the best performance coming out against Alabama State. Kind of just got through the game, and we wondered what we would see coming in against this Creighton team. Auburn performed. They answered the call. Creighton shot the eyes out of it in the first half, and we're only up 2 points. Had to feel good about yourself if you could just start getting some things going offensively, and they did.
Yeah, no, I thought, honestly, I thought that in the long run, what happened against Alabama State may have been the best thing to happen to this team because it forced someone to step up and go, that's acceptable. And it took Dylan Cardwell, Stephen Pearl. I'm sure there were others that joined in there as well that said, look, we can't play like that. And it's not just scoring points, doing those things, because we saw Janai Broom. Janai Broom didn't score a bunch. And it was Creighton was a difficult matchup for him. And I think Michigan's going to be a difficult matchup for him as well. But he played hard. He grabbed rebounds. He did things they needed to do. They played better defense. That's more like the team we thought we would see this season. To win and to keep going in the NCAA tournament, you're going to have a lot of games like that. That's
no doubt
the way it is. This team is battle tested. And now you got an extra day to get prepared on Friday. And heck, you got 2 extra days, but Friday at 10 o'clock at night, basically. So you got another full day almost to get Chad healthy. I was right beside the bench at the end of that game the other night. And I think it's more of a kind of a bruised hip kind of thing where he fell and they were kind of putting some stuff on that. I would expect him to be fine and ready to go this week. And so
what did you see out of his playing?
Yeah, I thought he was more aggressive guy. And again, matchups determine so much. I thought that Janai Broom had a difficult matchup because of Kalkbrenner's length. But I thought Chad had maybe the best match on the floor because he had a big 6'11" guy who can shoot it. I mean, not a great defender. And Chad was able to do some things. I thought he was more aggressive and kind of getting downhill. And look, Chad and Tahad and Denver getting to the lane was the biggest part of that game. Them scoring inside the three-point line. They made some shots, but it was their scoring in the paint that was the difference in that game, and they were able to do that. And so I thought that was really valuable. I thought Chad was, especially early, they had to weather a storm, and he was the one that kept them in the game really early on.
Would you say that you saw some more, I don't know, I guess motivation and kind of excitement on the bench while the game was, going on and stuff than you have the past couple of games?
Yeah, I think some of that's dictated by a situation too. I think you get in the first game against Alabama State and you're like, we're good. And I think it's just natural to do that as a 1 seed a little bit. And I think some of that comes from when you start to get a little excitement going too with the way you're playing. And so I thought that was kind of went hand in hand a little bit. No question there was a little bit more in there. But some of that comes when you start to make some of those plays too, and to get in those moments. And I really think at the end of the year, they felt like, okay, we got this thing wrapped up, and it became going through the motions a little bit. And when you go through the motions, that you might be able to survive, but you're not going to be able to play it at a high level. And I think there was definitely more energy from that team on Saturday.
Jason, Auburn did what they had to do, what championship teams do in the tournament. But you just said it. They get downhill. Faith and I talked about that yesterday. Tahad getting to the basket, drawing fouls, going to the free throw line was huge. I think he was 7 of 8 shooting. We had way too many guys, our inside guys, going to the foul line in previous games. And, you look at Mark Sears and you look at Walter Clayton Jr. and some of the better guards in the country, they make hay by getting downhill and they score most of their points at the free throw line. I mean, you look up and they've had a 22, 23-point game. They've had 8 or 9, maybe 10 of those points from the free throw line. And I didn't think we had been doing a good enough job of that, but you said it. Denver and Tahad both did a lot better job. We shot the free throws a lot better. Of course, when your guards are shooting them, you're going to. And we out-rebounded them. It was good to see that we owned the glass. And, that's one thing Coach Pearl talked about in the post-game press conference is that you got to rebound at this level if you want to win games. And you're going to have to do that the rest of the way out. I mean, this Michigan matchup with 2 7-footers inside is going to be a problem for Auburn. It's going to be a matchup issue, especially with foul trouble with Dillon and Chaney and some of those guys and what their history usually is.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It's a difficult situation. Michigan out rebounded Texas A&M, and we saw what Texas A&M Auburn matchup was the first time. It's a little different style. It's more of a kind of like Auburn, where you have 2 bigger guys inside. A&M has the bigger athletic guys, and it's a challenge. And it's when I said, look, I think this is another guard game. Obviously, you get Trey Donaldson on the other side, Damari Burnett's a former Alabama player on the other side. This is a game, and the NCAA tournament is a situation where your guards have to play well to win. This will be another guard game for Auburn when you face Michigan because your bigs for each side probably cancel each other out. And it'll probably become a situation like when Auburn played Florida. You look, and the difference was Walter Clayton. The difference was almost really their 3-point shooting and guard play. And that's what it comes down to in the NCAA tournament. You look at it, and so many times, how do your guards play determines what happens. And I think that'll be the case again for Auburn.
Yeah, speaking of that, guard play, Trey, that's going to, make for an interesting matchup. He knows this Auburn team. He was on this Auburn team last year that won an SEC tournament championship. I thought he had a lot to do with that, Jason, in that game. Shot the ball well, and it'll be interesting. I know that'll be a storyline to watch is how Auburn plays against him, and he's played really well for Michigan this year.
He has, and Trey's an athletic guy, first of all, because he was a guy that was a football prospect too. But he's got quickness, explosion. The one thing you look at for him and for Michigan is turnovers. They turn the ball over some, and so for Auburn, can you create some of those things without fouling? And you're right, it'll come down to so many times these games come down to how games are called. You see sometimes in the NCAA tournament that it'll play a little bit more. Then you look up at other times and Duke has 23 free throws and the opponent has 4 at one point. I think yesterday, something like that. You don't know how it's going to be called. But, I think for Auburn defensively, how you handle Trey, he can penetrate and he shoot the ball pretty well too. But his thing's going to be taking the ball downhill, getting to the basket. That's what he likes to do. And so Damari Burnett's going to shoot it from outside some. But it's a balanced Michigan team, and they're on a roll. They weren't playing very well going into the Big Ten tournament. They won the Big Ten tournament. Now they won 2 games. So all of a sudden, this is a team that's playing with a ton of confidence. And so a lot of connections. You look and Wolf on the other side is a guy that was Yale's big man last year that Auburn lost to in the NCAA tournament. KT Harrell is an assistant coach for Michigan. There's a ton of storylines going into this one.
There is. Faith and I talked about this yesterday. I didn't know at the time when this game will tip. Obviously, we know that now. It's 8:39 Central Time.
That is approximate. I don't think anything. I don't think it'll be 8:39. It'd probably be closer to 9 o'clock.
Right, and that's the way it normally is. Being able to play in Atlanta obviously is going to be huge. Auburn, if you look on StubHub and all the different places, the tickets are just outrageous.
Well, you throw Ole Miss into the mix too, and now you're talking about $750, $800 for the cheapest tickets right now in Atlanta.
It's ridiculous. The cost, and again, playing in State Farm Arena, which is where the Hawks play. Talk about real quick, couple more things that we want to talk about, Jason, because I know you got to get out earlier this morning. The SEC is living up to billing. They have 7 of the 16 teams in the Sweet 16. Kind of talk about that. I mean, this has been the most battle-tested conference in the country all year, and it's showing. And maybe a couple teams that we thought would make the Sweet 16 didn't, and a couple that we didn't think did make it.
Yeah, again, we talk about matchups. I thought there were some matchups that were favorable, and honestly, I thought Ole Miss had one of those favorable matchups. Iowa State without one of their guards. Ole Miss is a team with a bunch of really good guards, and that's somebody that Auburn might have to see. Ole Miss Michigan State will be one of the games of this whole thing for me. And Ole Miss reminds me a little bit, even though they didn't go win the SEC tournament, they remind me a little bit of Auburn's 2019 team that made a Final Four because of their guards, because of the dynamic guys outside that can get hot in a hurry. I mean, they just blitzed Iowa State. And so that's a team that comes in with a ton of confidence. So look at Alabama's the only one that doesn't have another SEC team in its bracket. Tennessee, Kentucky play each other in a war. Lucas Oil Stadium, I don't know how many it seats, 70,000.
Right.
There'll be 70,000. I mean, they'll sell that place out for Tennessee, Kentucky. It's going to be a fun one. Houston potentially waiting on the other side there. There's a lot of fun matchups, but yeah, the league held up. I mean, Missouri's really the only one you look at going, that was a team that was a higher seed team. The 8-9 games, you throw those out. But yeah, 7 of 16.
Impressive.
And here's the thing that is really interesting. I saw John Fanta from Field of 68 last night talking about it. In this day and age, we saw it in football. When you give people more opportunities, the cream rises to the top a little more, especially when you start adding and pulling players from different leagues. First time, only twice since this field since 1985 has there not been a non-Power 5 team in the Sweet 16. And Gonzaga was that team both of those times. Gonzaga is a Power 5 basketball team. There's
absolutely
not one of those teams in the field this time. It is all power, all big, and we're going to see more of that as the wide open portal and the NIL continues. It's going to make it more and more difficult for a true Cinderella to get through nowadays.
Jason, before you get off, we know you have to get off here in a minute, but let's quickly talk about baseball winning our second straight series against Kentucky this past weekend. Won the first 2 games. Last night was fell off a little bit. But what are your thoughts on this past weekend?
Yeah, I mean, you go on the road and your goal is to go try to win a series. They had an opportunity to sweep, and I think the craziness of the first 2 games, moving the first pitch up to 10 o'clock Central Time Sunday, all those things kind of threw everything off a little bit there for Auburn. But successful weekend when you go on the road and win a series, and some clutch hits. Ike Irish wasn't sure if he'd be back. He gets back on the field, and all he does on Saturday is go 5 for 6 with 2 home runs and get to go and have another hit on Sunday. And so swinging the bat well, getting him back is going to be really important for this team. And, 4-2 in the league, and that is a great start for this team. And now all you get is maybe top 3 Georgia, who just swept Florida on the road. You got to go to Georgia this weekend and playing well. Then you get Alabama and LSU back to back. So that's life in the SEC. You go, hey, that was a good weekend. You better reset it because here it comes again. But yeah, positive steps continue. They battle, they grind it out, and just continue to get more and more quality pitching. That's going to be the ultimate determination. I think this team's going to be able to score, even though they got shut out yesterday. I think the weather had a lot to do with that one. But yeah, challenges ahead for this team. But so far, you've done what you needed to do. If you look up at the end of the year, go, hey, look, you don't get swept and you win the majority of your series, you're going to be hosting a regional at the end of the year. And so far, they've put themselves through 2 weeks in that very spot.
A lot better start than last year. Let's put it.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Brutal schedule last year.
Going to Vandy and then having Arkansas in week 2. Yeah, that can be a challenge. And you look, we talk about this league, and you look at the difficulty of people. It was football and then it's basketball. Baseball's always been that way. And you add Oklahoma and Texas to the mix, and you look up, and right now, Florida's 0-6. Florida hasn't won a game. 0-6. That's preseason top 10 team. Texas A&M 0-6. Preseason number 1 team in the country. It's a tough grind in this league. And so any win you get, you celebrate it and move on. And so far you got 4 of them in 2 weeks.
One more quick, actually 2 more quick things. Auburn football really gets kicked off this week. Spring football, I'll let you say a few things about that. And then Auburn hires Larry Vickers as the women's coach. Just your thoughts on that hire.
Yeah, I talked to John Cohen, honestly, maybe a couple of days after the Johnny Harris announcement. And that's a guy that he said, look, maybe got to pay attention to here a little bit. And so this kind of kept it under the hat. But I'd started to look at and research. And I think 83-15 or 83-16 the last 3 years, building a program from nothing.
3 straight NCAA tournament.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. And they led Maryland at the half in their game. And so I think he's done an impressive job, really defensive-minded coach, aggressive. And now, who can you add from the portal? That's going to be ultimately determined. How many can you keep from this roster? Can you get a Talia Scott back? That's going to ultimately determine what you can do in year 1. But, yeah, I like the hire. I think it's a little bit out of the box, but I think that's okay. And then, football gets going. Pro day today. Not as big a deal because the guys that you're really thinking are going to be draft guys have already gone through the combine. So this will be a chance for some of the other guys to go out there and see if they can make some noise. But yeah, spring football, we'll have our first practice viewing window Tuesday morning. Talk to assistant coaches Monday afternoon, viewing window Tuesday morning, some player talk this week. And so looking forward to throwing another log on the fire this week and getting some spring football happening.
That fire is burning over the boundaries there, Jason. You guys do an awesome job. We appreciate you taking time to be part of our program, joining us on Mondays and Fridays. Tell everybody again before you get out how to catch up with you guys on a daily basis.
Yep. Like I said, check us out, auburnundercover.com, part of the 24/7 network, and all the social media stuff. The young guys handle those things. Patrick and a bunch of them do a great job of doing that. And check us out.
You're still young, Jason. I mean, you're still young. I mean,
I'm not. Age, hey, so. every road trip you take, you're a little older when you come back, but still going strong. So.
Exactly, Jason. Appreciate you, buddy. Have a good day. Okay.
Thanks, y'all too.
All right. Jason Caldwell with Auburn Undercover does a tremendous job, and always glad to have him on Mondays. It is Monday, Faith, and we're rocking and rolling. We got a busy day ahead of us. We want to thank some of our partners here on the program. Sensor Green for air that's cool and clean. Call on Sensor Green. They are the carrier experts here in the state of Alabama, proud supporters of the Auburn Blitz podcast and Auburn Athletics. So call on Sensor Green, saving you thousands of dollars on new installs. Check them out. Scout Program Management, a full-service construction management firm located in Birmingham, Alabama, specializing in educational projects, renovations, new construction builds. They'll take you from the pre-construction phase all the way to the finished product. Call on Scout Program Management and let them handle your project for you. And Bunkers, I know they had an outstanding weekend with March Madness. Bunkers is the official home here on the Auburn Blitz for March Madness. So make sure you go check them out. if you're not going to be able to make it over to Atlanta this coming up weekend, Bunkers is the place to go. They're going to have great food there. They're going to have a great atmosphere, all the TVs, all the different games going on, and their bars are just awesome. So go check out Bunkers there on West Glen, 50 parking spots for you, so you don't have to worry about that. Faith and I love Bunkers. You know that. We've said that. I think we say it every time, which is good, and we'll keep saying it every time because it's the truth. So go to check them out. We'll have some more partners we'll thank here in just a little bit. We do have some comments. We want to get to those. John said Faith's favorite unis are going against the Tide. So there you go. BYU is going to take on Alabama. We'll talk about that matchup here in just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. We know.
You are excited. That's Faith's closet team right there. If Auburn were to happen, hopefully they don't get knocked out. But if she's got two that she's pulling for there, and BYU's the other one. So we don't want either one of them to get knocked out right now for sure. Glenn said Michigan doesn't have the guard play, but they're big inside. This is what you and I talked about. You and I will be on at lunch today on the Auburn Blitz, Faith, and that's what we identified is that this will probably, be more of a perimeter game. And I like our chances, especially with Tahad. 16 2 games ago, 23 on Saturday. He's starting to pick it up. We knew he had to do that. We needed him to play superstar basketball. He's the most talented guy on our team. And he's performed to this point. We're going to need another good effort on Friday against Michigan. Yeah,
there's no doubt about it.
I know you've been excited about the way he's played most of the year, especially coming down the stretch. Glenn said Broome will need to be fresh at the 5-minute mark. We need to get Janai Broome going offensively again. I loved his effort on the boards, had double-digit boards, but only had 9 points. Heard him talk in the post-game press conference about, look, that's why we have is really kind of what you and I said, Faith. It's why you have a deep team, and you don't have to have your guy score 30 every night to have a chance to win. He can have an off night offensively and somebody else pick up the slacks. But we do need to get him going offensively. John said, any common opponents between Michigan and AU? You got those, don't you, Faith?
Yeah, Michigan played Oklahoma and they played Purdue earlier in the season. They lost to Oklahoma by 1 point, 87-86. And then when they played Purdue, they lost 91-64.
Man, they got killed.
Yeah. And we played Purdue earlier in the season also, and we beat them 87-69. And then we obviously played Oklahoma and we beat them 98-70. And that Oklahoma game was a pretty good game for us. If I recall correctly,
it was
across the board. But those are just the only two teams that both of us have seen. But but
Michigan's playing a lot better than they were.
They
earlier in the year.
They are. But yeah, I think definitely if kind of what Kyle just said, talking about the way that they turn over the ball, how Michigan turns it over. Honestly, I really think that Auburn should be able to get in control of the game if their defense is as strong as it has been through and through. That's something that we've talked about that stayed consistent kind of throughout the season as we've kind of trickled into this. I guess not so much hopefully right now, but towards the end of the SEC tournament, but kind of just our lull that we were in, our sad
we got
spot.
that out of our system. That's what I'm hoping.
But our defense has kind of stayed strong for a majority of the season. And if we're able to take advantage of the turnovers and those things, I think we can really take control of the game.
Had another great defensive performance against Creighton, holding them to 70 points. Let's talk about the Sweet 16, Faith, and as we move forward. Action gets started on Thursday. Again, when you look at the way the bracket breaks out, these matchups, BYU and Alabama will get things started on Thursday. Alabama's a 4.5-point favorite there. BYU been solid all season. Love their brand of basketball. I'll be honest, and and I'm not saying this because we're on an Auburn show, but Alabama's kind of had a pretty easy path to this point with Robert Morris and St. Mary's. Now, St. Mary's, their record was great and all, but when you look at that team, no cut against them. That was one of the most unathletic bunches I've ever seen. And again, they struggled shooting threes, and I don't really know at that point what they could do against a team as athletic as Alabama. So Alabama kind of put it in cruise. I know they struggled against Robert Morris there in the first round. I mean, we had our hiccups a little bit with Alabama State, but they'll get their first test, in my opinion, against BYU, and we'll see how it plays out. I'm going to say BYU's not a world beater either. Alabama is a 4.5-point favorite, but BYU has played some good basketball this year. But that game will get started at 6:09 on Thursday. Then Florida and Maryland will tip 30 minutes after that. Those two teams, Maryland, they've had the Cinderella buzzer beater moment of the tournament to this point against Colorado State. And so they snuck in by the skin of their teeth. And then Florida, boy, they had a scare of their own. They pretty much looked horrible for 35 minutes of that basketball game against UConn, and then they turned up the pressure defensively and were able to hold UConn to a scoring drought there for about 5 or 6 minutes, and it was good enough to get them the lead and allow them to hold on and advance.
Yeah, that would have, I feel like, tanked everybody's brackets if that would have gone the other way. I would have been okay with my bracket being tanked after that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would have.
But yeah, I think Florida, we talked about, or I guess we will talk about on the show today, but their free throws, man, were just
atrocious.
Yeah, it was hard. But I mean, I don't know if Florida's not going to play as bad as they did against UConn ever throughout the rest of this tournament. There's no
They
way.
dodged the bullet. I've said that every team has that game that you're going to have to you're not going to play well. Things aren't going your way, and you got to figure out a way to fight through. I mean, they shot free throws terrible. They didn't shoot the ball from outside very well. It's like, what's working for Florida? And they still win the game. So people better kind of take note. They're not going to play that bad again. So you're right. You hit the nail on the head with that one. They're probably going to be pissed off. And I will go out on a limb and say, I don't know that this game will be close. I think Florida will step back up and they'll come out with a little bit of a mat on and they'll show everybody why they were playing the best basketball of anybody, including Duke, coming into this tournament. So I think they'll be mad. Yeah,
I don't think Maryland's gonna really stand too much of a chance against them, if I'm being honest.
Yep. So, all right, Glenn's right. Maryland player, it was, I mean, I know it's the heat of the moment, and, that would have been a bummer for the official to blow the whistle at the very end of the game on a travel, but he traveled. I mean, you just go back and look at it. Hell, he never even – I mean, it's like dude took off running and got so excited. He took 3 very obvious steps and never put the ball on the floor. And it's like, you got to call that. But then in the heat of the moment, the official just missed it because I guess he was caught up probably like a fan watching the play rather than officiating the play. And it happens. So Maryland moves on. Colorado State gets screwed. That should have been a travel and a turnover to end the game. But look, if anybody knows how that feels, Auburn fans do. Double dribble Virginia.
Yeah.
If that call is made, then Auburn makes it to the national championship game, and we may be talking about something totally different. But it was not made. So officials miss calls in these big moments. I mean, they do. I mean, and you may say, well, it was, you don't blow the – yeah, you do. You blow the whistle there because it's still – it doesn't matter if it's the first play of the game or if it's the last play of the game. It's a violation. It's a violation. It doesn't matter what's on the line. It doesn't matter that it ruins the moment. Oh, you took a buzzer beater away from Maryland. Well, you took a season away from Colorado State because you didn't make the right call. So I know you can get off on a tangent on that, but that's the truth. I mean, everybody's going to have something to say about it. You don't give a pass to a guy traveling because it happens to be the last play and, oh, you know, he needed to get the shot off and we needed some drama in this tournament. That ain't how it works. So official missed a call. It is what it is. You move on, but we know about that. We feel that pain as Auburn fans and what happens. Yeah, I think it does, Ed. The basketball portal opens today. So, look, Auburn knows what it's going to have to do. And you bring up the Tahad Pettiford $2 to $2.5 million NIL deal already on the table. Yeah, Faith and I actually had a little inside information and, you know, talked about that about a month or two ago. Really, it's been that long. But looking at this roster and how this coaching staff has already been, I'll just say this: they'll be prepared. They're going to be prepared. They've been looking and targeting players just like everybody else in the country that they feel like they need to bring in, and they also know the important guys they need to retain on this roster. So, like you said, Ed, I trust BP. You need to. I think Tahad. I think these players, yes, they want to make and get the best value for themselves, but they love playing for Bruce Pearl and his coaching staff, Faith. I think that's another pull that they understand they're gonna get coached up. They're gonna have a chance to make a run when it counts, to have a chance to hang a banner and wear a championship ring. So a lot of that goes into it.
Tahad specifically, I'll elaborate on. But I mean, if you look at him from the beginning of the season to right now, with how well he's progressed and been successful in his playing, like you take his defense, for example. I mean, he's looking like he's going to become a Denver Jones walking in his footsteps in the defense. And I mean, his minutes are coming off the bench. He's got big minutes. He scores a lot of points, and he's someone that our offense and defense at this point, they both need. And I think from what I've seen, he's enjoyed playing under Bruce, and he's enjoyed learning underneath a lot of guys. Oh yeah. And so again, same thing that we have to do with football is trust the coaches, because they know obviously more than we do. But Bruce is yet to fail us. So I really do trust him and who he's going to bring back or who he's going to get out of the transfer portal. I mean, who wouldn't want to learn and be coached under Bruce? Seriously.
In Bruce we trust, right? We might get some shirts made up for that. Let's move on. Other Sweet 16 matchups. Arizona will take on Duke. Duke is at a pace right now that we've never seen before. They're beating people's brains in. That Baylor game wasn't close. It's a little bit scary that how good they're playing right now. They're the Lone Ranger left for a very maligned ACC conference this year. They've been the team all year. We saw how weak that conference was in this tournament. And, I mean, UNC probably shouldn't even been in the tournament. But, you know, when you got the right person on the right committee that can pay and force a team. Now, I know they won their first game, but probably had no business with their resume being in. But regardless, they're gone. Louisville's gone. Clemson laid the biggest egg that you could possibly lay in the first round. So just kind of a snapshot played out for the ACC and how bad they really were this year. Arkansas and Texas Tech, I think that could be a really good game. That game will be at 9 o'clock or somewhere around in there on Thursday night. So there is 3 SEC teams in action on Thursday. And then you flip over and there's 4 SEC teams in action on Friday. Auburn and Michigan will play at 8:39 or approximately 8:39. Like Jason said, Ole Miss and Michigan State will be the first game that tips at 6:09. And then Auburn and Michigan will follow right after that. It's going to be a late night regardless. So drink you a Red Bull or whatever the heck you do to stay up. And then you've got the matchup between Tennessee and Kentucky. Like Jason said, boy, that place will be packed in Lucas Oil Stadium, slammed. That is going to be one for the ages. That's going to be a great energized building for those two programs, and that's going to be exciting to watch there on Friday. And then Purdue-Houston closes it out Friday night with that tip somewhere around 9:09. So, yep.
Let's not forget that that Tennessee and Kentucky, they saw each other back in February, and Kentucky beat Tennessee 75-64.
Right.
So, I mean,
that adds a lot more to it.
Everybody, I know Randy was talking about having Tennessee in his, obviously going to the Elite Eight, but the Final Four too. So that's going to be, if Kentucky beats Tennessee, I feel like there's already a lot of busted brackets, but I feel like that would do a lot of people in on that one.
There's no doubt. No, there's a lot of potential to do a lot of people in moving forward. Michael, you're right. Hadn't heard a word, crickets, from good old Danny Cannell after, he went into hiding. And when you defend a mediocre conference like he did and take shots at the best conference in the country, you just look like an idiot. And so that's what he's been, and that's what he continues to be. I just really can't believe people even give him the time of day. The only thing that ever makes news with Danny Cannell is something stupid that he says, and something idiotic that doesn't have any basis for anything. That's the only time you hear his name brought up. It kind of makes me wonder if he does it on purpose. It's like, let me see how dumb of a statement I can make, and so I can get people's attention. And so that's really kind of how it ends up for him most of the time. But he's sitting there once again with a big old egg on his face because the SEC has moved forward. Now Duke, he may get the final laugh. Duke can navigate this whole thing and win the whole tournament. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But when he was talking about the conference as a whole being overrated, and that's a complete and total joke. It's a record. 7 teams from one conference in the Sweet 16's never been done before. So you just look dumb. Your takes are baseless when you say stuff like that. But this SEC season has been brutal, but it's starting to play out. And that's one thing, Faith, before we get off today, that I look at with Auburn, that you keep telling yourself in the back of your mind, is that they're not going to play anybody moving forward that really scares them or is tougher than somebody they haven't already played. I mean, this team is as battle-tested as you can be. They really will determine their own success moving forward. If they play well offensively, I think Auburn can win the whole thing. If they struggle, they're going to have to lean on that defense and win a rock fight type game. So hopefully Auburn, for 4 more games, can play outstanding basketball and we can hang a banner. That's the hopes.
That's all we need at this point. And from the second half of the Creighton game, it looked like the team that we've been watching since, I don't even know, December, November, back then, when everybody seemed like they had so much energy and they were ready to go and win this thing. And so I feel confident going into this weekend that it looks like we've got our team back. And I do think it took Dylan and Coach Stephen Pearl to say something to make them kind of have that fire lit underneath their butt to get to where they deserve to be and they're good enough to get, which is the Final Four.
And keep that thing lit up. Keep it lit for 4 more games. Kyle said he gives Cal hell for wasting a lot of talent, but man, he's done an incredible job this year from 0-5 in the conference Sweet 16. Yeah, I mean, tip your hat, man. He inherited a program that was decimated and brought some pieces over, lost Boogie Flan, got him back in this tournament, which is huge. But winning 2 games, getting them to the Sweet 16, that was a big win against St. John's. Massive, massive effort there by them to make it to the Sweet 16. And look, I think they've got a chance to make it to the Elite 8 and possibly set up another matchup, another SEC matchup. I mean, if Arkansas wins and Florida wins, they'll play each other in the Elite 8. And that, I mean, that's John Calipari for you. You know, you look up and he's always in the hunt. And so Kentucky fans, they're fine too because they're sitting there in the Sweet 16 as well. And he had not been able to get that done the last couple of years. So I guess it's one of those scenarios where everybody's happy with who they have. But a lot of great matchups there, the Sweet 16. Let's hit a few of our sponsors here before we get off. Faith, again, want to thank all of our partners here on the program. We couldn't do it without them. Sure Shot there in Alexander City, doing a great job, as always. One of the best places to go for your outdoor apparel, your firearms, whatever it is that you're looking for. Call on Sure Shot. They've got the Browning sale going on, 10% off any Browning firearm right now. So go check them out. Turkey season starts this weekend. Who's excited about that? I am for sure. You are, Faith. We're all excited about turkey season. So go get the brand new apparel, get your ammo for your shotguns, or go buy you a new shotgun. It's the best time in the world to get you a new shotgun heading into turkey season. Call them 256-329 0080. And then Oliver Ross, they'll take care of you at your party or your big, huge corporate function. 20 people up to 20,000 people, fully licensed and trained bartenders to come out and take care of your next gathering. So call on Oliver Ross. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook. Just saw there and some of the really cool posts they have on Instagram. They have a drink of the day. Pretty nice.
Make sure you tell everybody that the Auburn Blitz sent you.
Absolutely. Always tell them Auburn Blitz. Yeah, absolutely. Tell them Auburn Blitz sent you. At Sure Shot, at Bunkers, when you buy your new heating and air unit at from Sensor Green, all the above. Tell them that you saw us right here on the Auburn Blitz. Well, Faith, that's going to wrap it up here for the Monday edition. You and I will be back on at lunch, so no rest for the weary. We'll be on at lunch to talk some more about this, and looking forward to it. And then, of course, we'll be back in the morning for another edition of the Auburn Blitz podcast. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, safe start to their week and a big O.
War Eagle.